I hate intro, Shokugeki no Soma episode 1. We kick things off with a cooking battle between the main character Yukihira Soma and his father Joichiro, ending in an eye-opening foodgasm. Soma's friend Mayumi is the acting judge, and she chooses Joichiro's dish, preventing Soma's dream of finally beating his dad after trying 489 times. The next day, Joichiro is off tending to other matters when a land shark who wants to shut down the restaurant and build a hotel comes by. She devises a plan to send some of her goons over and ruin their meat. After all the meat has been sabotaged, she strolls in to order a meat dish, saying that they should stay true to their word and shut down if they can't serve her. Soma takes her up on this challenge and makes a delicious meal out of some potatoes and bacon that he had lying around, forcing a foodgasm and ultimate submission from the shark. He then finds out that his dad is shutting down the restaurant for 3 years and he's going to be sent to the best culinary school in Japan. Episode 2. Upon arrival to the school, Soma is mocked by some of the other students for coming from a small diner. Erina Nakari, also known as the God Tug, and the 10th seat in the school's elite student council called the Elite 10, is judging the entrance exams. All of the students freak out and give up after she changes some of the rules except for Soma. Soma takes on her challenge, and even though his dish gives her a dirty angelic foodgasm, she fails him because she doesn't like him. In the last scene, her grandfather Sensomon, who is the director of the school, overrules her decision after trying Soma's dish. Episode 3. During the entrance ceremony, Soma has to make a speech since he was the only transfer student that made it in. He claims that he will be the top student, which pisses pretty much everybody off. For their first assignment, he gets paired up with a timid girl named Megumi Tadakoto, who is on the verge of failing out of the school. Their instructor is a French teacher named Roland Chappelle, who is judging if they pass the assignment. While cooking, Soma's dish is sabotaged by some nameless idiots because of what he said at the entrance ceremony. They have to improvise but ultimately make it by and pass the test, while the 2 idiots mess up their dish in the process and fail. Episode 4. Also known as the side character intro episode, Soma makes his way to where he is staying at the Polar Star Dormitory. He is immediately tested by the caretaker Fumio Daimido and easily crushes the test on his first try. He then goes on to meet the rest of the students staying at the dormitory as well. We have Marui Zenji, Yoshino Yuki, Sakaki Ryoko, Sato Shoji, Aoki Daigo, Ibusaki Shun, Ishiki Satoshi, and last but not least, the shy girl Megumi Tadakoto from the first test. They all get plastered on some rice juice, wink wink, rice juice, and everybody passes out. Ishiki and Soma are the only ones left awake, so Ishiki decides to cook a meal for him. He then reveals that he is actually the 7th seat in the Elite 10 and wants Soma to have a cook-off with his dish. Episode 5. Soma impresses everybody with his dish and the cook-off is declared a draw. The next day, Soma makes an official challenge to Ishiki with the 7th seat on the line, but gets denied. He learns that a challenge like that has to be a Shokugeki, but since he has nothing of equal value to the 7th seat, Ishiki doesn't accept the challenge. We get an example of an official Shokugeki when Erina manhandles a random pudgy side character named Gorabayashi. She put her 10th seat on the line in order to get rights to his club room. Once he loses a Shokugeki, the room that he was fighting for gets destroyed to make room for her new facilities. Episode 6. Soma and the others at Polar Star start their day working on farms harvesting fresh ingredients. Later on, him and Megumi go to look for a research society to join, which is equivalent to a school club. Soma takes interest in the Dawn Research Society, but when he goes to check it out, he is told by the president Kanichi Konishi that Erina is targeting that club as well. One of her lackeys, Ikumi Mito, is handling the destruction of the club, so Soma challenges her to a Shokugeki with his expulsion on the line. The main ingredient is going to be her speciality, meat. I'll just leave this here for a bit. Soma, Megumi, and Konishi use the 3 days they have to prepare for the Shokugeki, trying out new dishes, looking for the perfect one to challenge her. Episode 7. The Shokugeki gets underway and Mito busts out her premium top-of-the-line A5 beef, while Soma, on the other hand, is cooking with budget markdown meat. This discrepancy is made up for in the cooking, and Soma ends up pulling ahead in the final decision. As the second part of the bet, Mito is forced to join the Dawn Research Society. She isn't that mad about it though, because she thinks that Soma's gonna be in it, who she's kinda crushing on. But to her dismay, Soma actually turned down joining the club, so she is left alone with Konishi as the only other member. Episode 8. The first years at the academy are now going to the training camp from hell, which is really just another challenge to weed out the weaker students. The alumni of the academy, who are well-renowned chefs, are brought in to act as judges in their performance. They are split into groups again, and what do you know, Soma ends up with Megumi. Their instructor is the former 2nd seat, Hinako Inui, who gives them the task of collecting ingredients from the wilderness and making a dish with them. Also in their group is Takumi Aldini, who challenges Soma because of, again, what he said at the entrance ceremony. Takumi's working with his pudgy brother Isami, and they prepare a duck that easily passes the test. Episode 9. Takumi set the bar pretty high, so Soma has to think outside the box and comes up with the idea of using Inui's Aki peanuts as breading for his fish. This rounds out the dish nicely, so him and Megumi pass the test. When they ask which dish was better, Inui almost answers, but is called away before she can, so it ends in a draw. Takumi isn't satisfied with that, which makes Soma his newfound rival that he's obsessed with beating. When the students return to their hotel, they are given the surprise task of fixing 50 servings of steak for the bodybuilding, wrestling, and football clubs. Soma finishes way before anybody else, so he decides to go to a communal bath, assuming that nobody's gonna be there. This cues some anime cliches when he runs into Erina as she's getting out of the bath. Episode 10. Erina still hates Soma and is mad because she let down her guard around him, but nothing really happens in the exchange. Gin Dojima, who used to go to the academy and is the head chef at the resort, is in the bath when Soma gets there. They have a nice chat or whatever, but Dojima ends up leaving as Takumi arrives. Soma and Megumi are in the same group again the next day, but this time they have to work by themselves. Kojiro Shinomiya is leading the class, and while Soma passes, Kojiro ends up failing Megumi because she was forced to deviate from the recipe. Soma disagrees with the decision to expel her, so he calls him out. After ignoring his complaint, Soma kicks things up a notch when he challenges Kojiro to a Shokugeki to rescind Megumi's expulsion.
Shokugeki.
Episode 11. Kojiro denies the challenge at first, but is forced to accept by Dojima and Inui, who overhear the situation and pressure him until he gives in. As they're about to start cooking, Dojima throws in a twist, saying that Megumi is actually going to be the head chef with Soma assisting her. They bring in 3 of the alumni to act as judges for the Shokugeki. Kojiro finishes his dish first and sends all the judges spiraling through vibrant foodgasms, and in the last scene, Megumi presents her dish as well. Episode 12. Megumi finishes her dish and delivers it to the judges and impresses them all, but when it comes down to the vote, Kojiro still wins in a landslide. Before he can leave though, Dojima casts his vote for Megumi and points out that Kojiro has let his cooking get stale, metaphorically. We get a flashback of Kojiro's first restaurant and how he lost direction once he accomplished his goals. Kojiro is pressured by the others to taste Megumi's dish, and he sees how much care was put into it, so he ends up casting his vote for Megumi as well. Inui decides to throw in her vote because the judging's already ass backwards at this point, so who cares? This ties up the votes 3-3, so Kojiro decides to rescind the expulsion. Episode 13. After a long day of cooking, all the students are tired and worn out, but get called down for their next assignment. They have to work through the night without any rest to come up with a new egg dish to serve to customers buffet style. I'm pretty sure this would be illegal. I don't think you can just make minors work through the night, but you know, anime, so whatever. Soma decides to make a souffle, but the others are kind of giving off this vibe like it's a bad idea. In order to pass, the students must give out 200 plates to the customers. Erina quickly crushes the 200 plate goal with others close behind, but in the last scene we see that Soma is struggling with less than 10 plates. Episode 14. Soma's souffles deflate before the customer can enjoy them, which is why everybody was giving off that negative, oh, you're screwed vibe. He has to calm himself down and does what anybody would do in this situation and lures a little girl into his booth.
Here, little girl, you want some souffles?
This whole scene, I was just waiting for the little girl to go into foodgasm. Not because I wanted to see it, but I haven't talked to the FBI in a while, and I worry about them. Meanwhile, Soma finally gets some traction and starts churning out souffles before they can deflate and narrowly makes the 200 plate goal. While talking with Erina afterwards, he meets Alice Nakiri, who is Erina's cousin and finished in second with the amount of plates served, losing only to Erina. We also meet her brooding companion Ryoku Rokipa, but we don't learn too much about him. With the training camp finally winding down, the students are treated to a meal prepared by the alumni as a reward for passing. Episode 15. As the students are preparing to head back to the academy, Soma runs into Kojiro, who is heading back to France with a newfound determination. The other alumni try offering Soma and Megumi jobs after they graduate because the camp is also a scouting ground for restaurant owners. Soma and Erina both end up missing their bus, so they have to ride back together while Erina reluctantly fills him in on the next big event, the autumn elections. When Soma gets back to the dormitory, he is surprised to find his dad there, who is preparing dinner for him and the others. Turns out his dad used to be the second seat in the Elite 10, right behind Dojima, who was the first seat. They were both a part of Polar Star Dormitory during its golden age. The next day, his dad wakes him up and challenges him to a cook-off to see how much he's improved. Episode 16. We find out that Erina actually knows Joichiro and keeps a photo of him from when she met him as a child. Anyways, back to the cook-off between Soma and his dad, with Ishiki, Megumi, and Fumio acting as the judges. They are tasked by Fumio to make a light morning meal to get them started with the day. Soma makes an apple risotto while Joichiro decides to go with a light ramen. Even though Soma's dish seems good, it just can't compare to Joichiro's, so he loses for the 490th time without getting a single vote. Joichiro leaves shortly after, but tells Soma to go check up on the restaurant that has been closed since they both left. Episode 17. A break rolls around and Soma heads home to check on the restaurant like his dad asked him to. When he gets there, he runs back into Kurase and some of her friends. He reopens the restaurant temporarily to cook for some of the usuals, where he finds out that the shopping district they're located in is struggling. A new Karage shop has been pulling all their customers away. Soma wants to help the shopping district, so he decides that he's gonna make his own Karage recipe to compete with them and get their customers back. He calls in the meat expert Ikumi to help, since this is her specialty. They go to try out the new Karage recipe, where they meet the opposition CEO Kinu Nakamozu, who is kind of spiteful. In the last scene, we get a look at the person responsible for Nakamozu's success, Atsuya Aizen, who is the 9th seat in the Elite 10. Episode 18. Since they can't find a recipe better than Nakamozu's, they switch their focus to the packaging and opt into a more on-the-move approach. This is a big hit amongst the customers and brings a ton of traffic back into the shopping district. To keep the Karage sales up while he's away, he asks Kurase to help out instead. When he returns, Aizen requests a meeting with him and confronts him about stealing business from his client. Nothing really comes of it, but he also tells Soma that he's been chosen for the autumn elections. Episode 19. The autumn elections are made up of 60 contestants selected by the Elite 10, who are split into two groups and compete with one another. Megumi was also selected by the Elite 10 and is approached by another contestant, Miyoko Hojo, who is interested in Megumi because of her Shokugeki with Kojiro. Hojo's disappointed when Megumi says that it was actually mostly Soma's doing that she survived it. Anyways, the dish that they're going to be making in the autumn elections is announced to be some sort of curry. Soma and Megumi head down to meet with Jun Shiomi, who used to be Joichiro's underclassman. Well, there they meet with her assistant, Akira Hayama. Hayama specializes in his ability to cook with his hypersensitive nose, and he vows to beat Soma while winning the election. Episode 20. There are only 6 weeks remaining until the autumn election, so students are all preparing in their own way. Soma is taking this time to try out new spice combinations for his curry. We also find out a little bit more about the competition. The top 4 from each group will make it out of the prelims and move on to the tournament phase. We jump ahead to the start of the autumn election, so most of the episode is just showing all the major characters preparing their meals. And in the last scene, we get a little bit of a debate when everybody is shocked to see Soma asleep at his station. Episode 21. Soma wasn't actually asleep, he was just like meditating to sense when his dish was just right. I don't know, it was a weird scene. But then we jump over to Megumi, who impresses everybody with her ability to cut a massive monkfish. Once the time runs out, everybody finishes up their meals and we move on to the judgment of the dishes. We take a look at a feud going on in Group B with a new character, now Sadatsuka, who is kind of a yandere with an obsession for Erina. And in the other corner is Erina's secretary and childhood friend, Hisaka Arato, who specializes in medicinal cuisines. It's not much of a fight when Arato smashes the yandere score with a 92 out of 100, taking the lead in Group B. After Sadatsuka tries Arato's dish, she's so purified by the qualities that she transforms and becomes obsessed with Arato instead of Erina. Episode 22. Let's go ahead and wrap up Group B. Miyoko scores an 87, Yuki manages to get an 86, we have the two Aldini brothers face off after Isami's surprise weight loss. Too bad that doesn't help with his cooking, so he loses to his older brother 87 to 90. Alice comes out of nowhere and amazes the judges with her unorthodox dish, so she claims the lead with a 95. Megumi is almost forgotten about, but when she presents her dish, she gets an 88, barely making it into the top 4 and qualifying for the tournament round. The other 3 contestants that qualified from Group B are Hisako, Takumi, and of course the leader, Alice. Episode 23. Jump on over to Group A, where one of the judges, Natsume Sendawada, I'm thirsty, keeps giving contestants zeros. Alice's friend Kurokiba uses his flavors to seduce her and finally puts an end to the zero streak with a new high score of 93. Ikumi is the next one to make a splash with a score of 86. Ryoko matches the 86 when she presents her dish. Marui and Iwasaki also get matching scores when they present their dishes and both get 88s. But let's face it, they're all side characters, so their scores are never really gonna matter. Let's head on over to an actual character, Akira, whose dish looks ordinary, but when they cut into it, they are greeted by a fragrance bomb that envelops the room. Episode 24. Akira's dish is of course a huge hit with the judges, so he lands himself a 94. Now it's Soma's turn to try and outdo this newfound rival. Ironically enough, he too had the idea of making a fragrance bomb with his dish. Once again, it wows the judges, but he ends up getting a 93, finishing in second to Akira in the standings. Although Soma finished in second, he gets a bit of a consolation prize when the judges start arguing amongst each other, saying that Soma's dish was actually better and that he should have been first. They all head back to the dorms and proceed to get wasted to celebrate surviving the prelims, but now everybody has to turn their sights to the main tournament where the top 8 are gonna square off. I'm gonna be doing the next season, and that'll be in the bottom left whenever I'm finished with it, or you can check out all the Shokugeki recaps in this playlist here. You can also find the links in the description below, and the only thing I hate more than intros is our fucking tros.